Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Daisy. I know it's been a minute since you guys seen me here sitting down next to my bed. You guys, I missed you guys. I feel like I haven't seen you guys in forever. I haven't talked to you guys. I feel disconnected and I hate that. And I wanted to come down and sit down to read your guys's paranormal stories. This time it won't be scary, it will be warm-hearted, sentimental, sweet paranormal stories, since you guys know not all paranormal stories are scary. So what better time to share those experiences with you guys? You know, the holidays are coming up. Literally Christmas Eve is next. It's tomorrow. It's tomorrow, you guys. It's tomorrow. But whatever you guys are celebrating, Hanukkah, whatever ever you are celebrating, hopefully you guys are surrounded with love, positive energy, and I wish you guys to be safe. But enough of chit-chatting, let's get into it. So grab your snacks, grab your cobija, and let's get straight into it. Okay, sorry you guys, a little interruption before we start. I just wanted to say, if you guys can go show my friends Jcraft and OhhChetoss some love on their Instagram, on their YouTube channel, it would mean so much to me and I'm sure they would appreciate it. Recently Jcraft has dropped an album and I really enjoy it. My song is Be With You. Be With You just hits a little bit different and I love just the melody, everything about it I love. So if you guys would go check them out, it would mean a lot to me, so much. If you guys do, make sure you say Daisy sent you there, and you know, peep out their merch. I am wearing their merch right now, chasing dreams and reaching goals. That is the vibe. That's what we're trying to do. Reach your goals, reach your dreams. So check them out, you guys won't be disappointed. Okay, so now what you guys all have been waiting for, story number 1. Hey girl, my story is about an experience I had with a medium at work. Although not a terrifying story, it still falls in the spiritual, paranormal world. I hope you enjoyed reading it. I work in an optometrist office in New York as a technician. A regular day goes by with me seeing an average of 30 patients or so. Most conversations consist of asking me how my day is and giving my patients instructions on how to place their bodies into machines properly so I can run the test. There's always a few conversations that venture into weird things, but that's kind of normal working with so many people that they don't stick. However, I have had 2 experiences with the same customer that have freaked me out in an insane amount. The first encounter I had with this woman started off as a regular day last year in 2020, around January. She came in for her appointment, filled out the paperwork, and was ready for me to call her into the testing room. As she entered the room, I felt a weird energy shift in the room. I remember vaguely thinking to myself that she had eyes that pierced into your soul. I felt a bit uncomfortable talking to her because she would just stare at me with a straight face with no emotion when I was talking and not respond. I didn't let that get in the way of me continuing the test. I have had my fair share of working with some weird people in retail and customer experience, so it was whatever. As we were on the second test, I noticed her gaze kept venturing into the space behind me on my left, her right, which is basically the corner of the room. As I noticed it more and more, it looked like she was attentively listening to someone else talking, but it was just me and her in the room. At this point, my heart is racing. My mom would tell me stories of brujas and psychic mediums, and my intuition was just going off, telling me that this woman's behavior was due to this. While my heart is beating out of my chest, I'm finally done with all the tests and I tell her to take a seat outside in the waiting room until the doctor calls her. She doesn't get up from her chair and starts to finally speak to me. She says, "I don't know how much you believe in the spirit world, but ever since I came in this room, someone has been bothering me to give you a message. There's a heavy presence in the room with you standing in that right corner. You have someone in the room with you at all times protecting you." I guess at this point I made a face without knowing because she started assuring me she wasn't there to scare me, but was being bothered by that presence, to talk to me. "Fabio wants you to say hello to Elvia and that he loves her very much. He is sorry he left so soon." I felt the blood rush away from my face. Hearing those names literally sent chills from the base of my head down my spine to my toes. Fabio is my late grandfather's name, whom I've never met. Elvia is my mother's name, who was young when my grandfather died. It now clicked that she wasn't answering me because she was listening to him to give me a message. And her venturing gaze was looking at my protective grandfather, who was there to look out for me. There is no way this lady could have ever known anything about me, especially since this wasn't even a topic of conversation I would likely bring up to anyone anyways. I stood there in silence as the lady walked around the machine towards me, asking if I was okay. I shook my head yes, and I told her thank you for telling me because I didn't know how else to respond. She then made her way into the waiting room and sat down. I found myself getting random chills and creeped out the rest of the week. She then made her way into the waiting room and sat down. I found myself getting random chills and creeped out the rest of that week. I'm happy that even though I didn't meet my grandfather, he is still there for me, and I'm happy he wanted to assure my mother of his love for her. It was just so random that it's hard for this to not frighten you a bit. Fast forward a year later to June 2021. Now this is a story I tell when my family and friends are over and we're sharing our paranormal stories with one another. I pushed this experience to the back of my mind and worked normally without getting the heebie-jeebies here and there. So another regular day comes. It's about to be lunchtime and I'm eagerly waiting for the last patient before lunch because my mom packed me sancocho and a girl's gotta eat. I finally get the patient's chart and I keep rereading the name because it sounds so familiar. I peek into the waiting room and see her again. My eyes meet her deep, dark, piercing eyes and my heart sinks again. She talks first this time and says hello and asks how I have been and tells me she's happy to see me again. I tell her to come into the testing room again, and this time she's more relaxed and we're having a normal conversation. Before even starting the test, she apologizes for scaring me last time, but she needs to give people messages because she is inclined to do so. I told her it was okay and that I'm a believer in the afterlife, but it was just unexpected to get that message there and then. She again got quiet and started staring all creepy again. I knew what was going to happen next. So I waited this time, hoping my grandfather would connect again, because I wanted to ask a question. She says, "This isn't for you. There is an older woman present who wants you to tell Vanessa something." "I don't know of a Vanessa," I replied confused. There was no one in my life that had that name. "Yes, you do know Vanessa. She knows you know her. Vanessa needs to know. You need to think, who is Vanessa?" "I don't know any Vanessa, I'm sorry, but maybe it's for somebody else in the office," I replied. "You know," she said in a very harsh tone, which scared the hell out of me because her eyes looked like they were popping out of her head and she was turning red. She looked insane. I thought harder and it finally came to me. My best friend's middle name is Vanessa, but nobody calls her that at all. She doesn't even tell people that's her middle name, except her mom called her that, who passed away a few years back due to a sudden illness. I was really shaken. This woman is the real deal. For her to know such details of someone's life that isn't even around her was crazy to me. Without me even telling her that I knew who it was, she returned to a more relaxed state, as if she knew, and told me the message. She wants you to tell her to stop worrying so much. Worrying too much. She has to stop. It was some motherly advice for my friend, which at the time had told me about different things going on in her life, which I knew were affecting her mental health. She was worried about a lot of different things, such as working, her father's health, and advances in her career. I finished testing her and thanked her again, this time afraid to tell my friend because it is a sensitive topic. I ended up telling her and she was grateful and took the advice, and since then she has been doing a whole lot better. Even though at the moment you feel like you're having a little heart attack because of how scary it can be, I'm extremely grateful that my job allowed me to cross paths with this woman. I have so much respect for those who have it done and use it for good. Sometimes there are things we need to hear in order to be at peace with deaths of our loved ones. Girl, you said it perfectly, literally perfectly, but it wasn't a coincidence that you cross paths with her. You needed to. Your friend needed that message, and I'm glad that she was able to hear it. But thank you so much. You did not leave your name, but thank you so much for sending in your story. It was so good. Thank you so much. Now moving on to story number 2. Hi Daisy, I have other creepier spirit stories, so let me know if you want me to share those too. But I wanted to start off with this one. It was my first year in college. I was already having a hard time because of roommate troubles, but what topped it off was my dad passing away. I'm so sorry. I loved and still do love my dad so much. He was like my rock, and he loved me so much. So when he passed, it hit like a ton of bricks. He died in the hospital after being there in a coma for about a week. But I was at school at the time, transferring to another dorm, when my sister called to tell me. I was sad, but didn't cry at the moment because 1, I didn't want to in front of other people, and 2, I knew he was at peace. Once it was time to head back to my dorm, it was night and it was freezing outside. And it was cold throughout the whole building. I was shivering. But when I walked into my dorm, it was warm. Like comforting warm. I checked to see if my roommate left a heater on, but the cold fans were on and the windows were also open. So why was it so warm if there was only cold air and open windows? I knew it was my dad as I laid down to fall asleep, and I think he visited me to see if I was okay and say goodbye to me one last time. I looked it up later and it said spirits can make a room warm if there is good intentions. I know he still visits me sometimes because I can feel his presence or touch, and sometimes in dreams. But the day he passed and the warmth I felt from him is something I will never forget. Ooh, this one is so sad. I am so sorry for your loss, and I'm just sending you love, light your way, especially during, the holidays. I'm sure it's just a harsh reminder, such a harsh reminder, but I'm sending you love, light. I hope you're watching this. I'm sending love, light during these holidays and always, because I know the pain never gets better, regardless, holidays or not, doesn't get better. So I'm just praying for you. But also thank you so much for sharing this story with us. It just means so much. These paranormal stories are just way more private, and I am so appreciative that you are willing to share that with me and all of us. So thank you. So now moving on to the next story. Hey girlie, my name is Desiree. Hey girl, I've been watching your videos for a while now and I absolutely love watching them. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so glad to have you be a part of my channel. This one is kind of sad. My mom passed away in 2013. I'm so sorry for your loss, girl. I was 18 years old at the time. After she passed, we lost our apartment and had to move in with my grandpa. Well, a few months later, my dad got locked up. I am so sorry. Oh my lord. And my life fell apart. I just lost my mom and now my dad gets locked up. I was down. Like, it was bad. I wanted to die. I just had my brother and I knew I had to be strong for him. Well, about half a year goes by and I got a job at Wingstop. One day at work, I was so frustrated with everything. Everyone was being so rude. I tried to remain calm. I was mopping the lobby and a group of like 5 guys and 2 girls walked in. They all see me mopping and they walked right through where I was cleaning. Well, I didn't pay any mind, but this other older guy was sitting on the other side of the lobby seeing what just happened, and he tells them, "Alright, I know y'all saw her cleaning. Y'all just walked right through it and laughed about it like it was cool. She's sweet to everyone that comes in here every time I come in to eat. This time I saw the anger in her eyes, but she kept her cool, but not me. Y'all need to apologize now. Andale." Let's give a little clap for that man. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And they did. Well, I just wanted to cry. I went to the bathroom and I sat on the floor and started crying and talked to my mom. I asked her if she was still around because I needed her. That night, I went home and went straight to my room. As soon as I opened my door, I saw a white-like cloud go across my room. I didn't worry about it as I was exhausted and just wanted to sleep. Well, as I'm sitting on my bed, I feel someone sit next to me. And it was comforting. It felt loving. And I said, "Mom, I miss you." And as soon as I said that, it felt like I was being hugged and I was okay. So that helped me relax a little bit. I used to sleep with a little lamp on, and that same night the reflection looked like a sunflower, and my mom loved sunflowers. The night after, I was sitting on my bed. My dogs were there with me. We had the door closed and one of the dogs stood up and sat on my lap. Right after, I heard a knock on the door, and I don't know why, but I said hi. And Diamond, my dog, looked confused because whoever or whatever it was said, "Hi, how are you?" I don't really remember how it went. I have it on video. I'll find it and send it to you. Oh my god, if you can find it, send it, because I'm intrigued now. Not sure if it was my mom or what, but my dogs didn't even freak out. As time went on, I started dating my boyfriend a few years ago. We moved in together and I didn't feel my mom around anymore. I used to ask her if she would please send me someone that'll love me no matter what, that'll give me hugs the way she used to, and keep me safe and protect me. Then my boyfriend came back into my life after that. Everyone always tells me that she sent my boyfriend back into my life because I always asked her to send me someone that will love and protect me. So I too believe she sent me him back into my life for that reason. That sounds like you are in a better place, and I am so happy to hear that. I wish you both well. It sounds like he has helped you grieve también, like he has helped you in this process of life, and I am so happy to hear that you have that support from him. So that makes me so happy. But thank you so much for sharing your story. I loved it. So now for our last story. Hi Daisy, my name is George. Hi George. I recently discovered your channel and I love the stories you tell. Thank you so much, George. But also shout out to my subscribers because they bring the heat all the time, so I can't take all the credit. I have a story that happened to me in 2003. I was on my honeymoon with my wife at the time. We were coming back home from Vegas to Texas. We left Vegas probably about 10 p.m. that night. At the time of our departure, we made a plane stop in El Paso, Texas. We had a delay of probably about 30 minutes there in El Paso. Before the plane took off, new passengers were getting on the plane. The plane had rows of 3. My wife was sitting by the window, I was sitting next to her, and there was an empty seat next to me. As the new passengers were getting on the plane, a lady who was dressed in black with short black hair and wearing glasses asked me if anybody was occupying the seat next to me. I politely told her no one was sitting there and that she could have that seat. Our trip to Vegas with my wife at the time was horrible. We were constantly arguing and we just didn't have a good time the way a new married couple should have. So I was very disappointed and sad that things turned out the way it did. My wife was not speaking to me on the way back home. So the lady who asked me if she could have that empty seat sat down. So I was constantly thinking of what happened during our trip to Vegas and how disappointed I was. I noticed during the flight in the corner of my eye, the lady kept staring at me. And it wasn't a creepy feeling. That's the strange part. The lady looked like she was in her 70s, and I remember her skin complexion still. It was like a beautiful olive color that she had. So one of the times she was staring at me, I looked at her and smiled. She said hello to me and she introduced herself. She said her name was Mary, and I introduced myself also. She opened her purse and took out a book. She told me, "I want you to read this." So I politely took the book and began to read. The author is Max Lucado, I think that's how you pronounce. He writes inspirational books. The book that she had was a book about different types of difficulties in life and how God will help you during those times of suffering. Example, how to deal with sadness, disappointments, love, sorrow, etc. So I began reading it. I felt some comfort reading it and felt better. After a while, I gave her her book back and said thank you. She replied and said, "I want you to keep it." And I replied back to her saying that was very kind of her, but that I couldn't accept. She was very persistent and told me to please accept it, consider it a gift from God. So to not offend her, I politely accepted the book and said thank you to her. When we arrived at San Antonio, Texas airport, it was probably around 1 a.m. It was late, and I thanked her again, and she smiled and said, "You're welcome." As we got off the plane and headed to pick up our luggage, the airport was empty. It was only the people in our flight. So all of us as a group were headed to the luggage terminal to pick up our luggage. Mind you, my wife was still not talking to me. When we got off, my wife was in a hurry to pick up our luggage, so we passed the lady that was sitting next to me, but for some reason, I kept on turning back to look at the lady. And she was right behind us, but at her pace. I probably looked back about 5 times and she was still there behind us along with the rest of the passengers headed to get their luggage. The exits were probably 20 to 25 feet from us as we arrived to pick up our luggage. Again, there was nobody there at the airport, only our group that got off the plane as we got to pick up our luggage. I probably took my eyes off the lady in black for no more than 5 seconds. As I turned back, she was gone. She didn't pick up her luggage like the rest of us did. She vanished. There is no way she exited through the doors because we were about 20 to 25 feet to the nearest exit. I would have seen her leave. I only looked away from the lady for no more than 5 seconds at the most. When I turned back, she was gone. And that's my story. I think about what happened to me from time to time, and I think she was an angel that came in a human form and helped me through my turbulent times. I had the book that she gave me, but I lent it to a friend of mine who was going through some troubled times. She somehow lost it when she was moving. She never found the book again. I guess the moral of the story is, even when we think our life is going hard, God has his angels to watch over us when we least expect it. I'm speechless. Thank you so much, George, for sharing that with us. I'm pretty sure someone watching this video, it's resonating. And you guys needed to hear that. I don't know, there's someone watching. I know there's someone watching that needed to hear this. Thank you so much, George. Thank you to everyone that has written in. I appreciate you guys so much. I don't tell you guys enough. I feel like I don't tell you guys enough, but no, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much to everyone writes in, watches, likes, shares, everything. Thank you. Los quiero mucho. I hope you guys stay safe during these holidays. Okay, please, no drinking, no driving, no, nothing like that. And please stay safe. You know, you guys know what's happening, so please keep that in mind. And I hope to see you all in my next video. So have fun, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.